Twin Humanities, Other Humanities E3 preview show. It's starting on Saturday this week, which is a little bit kind of wonky and cool. I have got a lot of time off after lunchtime on Saturday, so I'll be skipping out like the last day of school, and I promised my mate just to rub it in. I'm going to push past all the tables outside the store and we'll hump the window like a moth. So, yeah. I am joined, as ever, by my erstwhile colleague, Patrick Stardust.
Hi, everyone. I wrote notes for the first time all year. Enjoy this. This has prepared me.
And the radiant James Carter.
I'm still writing notes, rewriting notes. As I speak right now, in fact.
I can feel the radiance.
How are you fine fellows?
We're good.
Doing good.
It's lovely
Super
to be back in
point.
the 12 days of gaming Christmas.
Indeed.
Which I have foolishly not booked off work like a dum-dum. So
how did you do that?
I've managed to get at least Tuesday off so I can stay up and watch the Sony one, because that's the one I kind of need to stay up and watch.
You're the boss.
I am the boss, and I fucked it.
I've had this book since January, since I literally could do.
I fucked it. Is all I can say. I have fucked it. I need. Actually, I have a question for you, James. Have you been on our predictions before? Or did you just jump on for the actual shows? Have you been on a prediction show before?
I think just the actual shows.
This is the first time with the whole. Because I mean, let's be fair. At this point, you are as much a part of the Twin Humanities, Other Humanities E3 experience as anything.
Oh, that's delightful of you to say. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is what, third or fourth one we've done together.
Third, yeah, I think third, yeah.
I just remember lots of editing, and it all kind of all blows into one after a while. But I know there's lots of it.
Yeah. Brace yourself, folks, for dozens of hours.
Some people even get to the end. Jeremy Greer has promised to listen to most of it.
Wow.
Thanks, Jeremy.
And I would say that would make this configuration of podcast, I think that would make us the E3, wouldn't it? Come on. That took me an hour at lunchtime. Come on.
I'm cancelling my holiday. So, are you both excited for this year? I will start with James.
Oh, as always, yeah. I mean, the fact that when you asked me to come on, I'm still writing notes now, but I already had notes. Like before, just for myself, I had notes. That's just the way it goes.
Are we just reading your diary? Is this going to get a bit uncomfortable?
Yeah, I'm going to publish these eventually. No, it's just one of those things. I had an Evernote note on my phone, just popping in stuff that I expected, stuff I'm excited for. It's just hype building, of course it is. Yeah, it's just great to kind of slowly absorb and subscribe to some podcasts that I don't generally listen to at other times of the year, but I do for their E3 stuff. And yeah, just drinking it all in. It only happens once a year.
Yeah, I've been checking out a few bits on YouTube like that. It's just nice to see people sort of genuinely excited about stuff. And I know that there are certain folks who are in the know that are on Judges Week and stuff that have given their own bits and bobs that they're looking forward to, but they can't talk about anything they genuinely know about, which has been kind of neat. And a few odd bits where I've gone, oh, not really thought of that. So, what about you, Arpad?
Do you know what? It's weird. I'm not as excited this year as I've been previous years, but I couldn't tell you why. I'm just not sure.
Because you didn't book the time off, that's why.
I didn't book the time off.
Yeah,
put in the time. No, I'd kind of forgotten it was coming. Like until I think it was last week. So you were like, "Oh, E3 in 2 weeks." I was like, "Is it fuck? Really?" Like, and not that I'm not excited. I don't know. I'm just not sure what's coming. I've not been watching a lot of YouTube. I've only really sat down last night with a proper I think it was either the IGN or GameSpot. You know, like what can we maybe expect from all the big shows this year at E3? You know, any rumours, that sort of thing. Because I'm kind of not twisting in the wind a little bit, but you know, just a little bit not really keeping up with stuff. So I'm looking forward to being surprised, I guess. And I'd kind of like to have a surprise from a show that I'm not expecting. Because I think last year, I'm always the Sony guy, and last year's Sony show was okay. Like, it was the first one for me that was okay in a long time. And the Ubisoft show was not quite as amazing as it usually is. Obviously, we got Beyond Good and Evil 2 last year, which I actually threw my notebook across the room. And I picked the notebook up and wrote in massive letters, I threw my fucking notebook. But obviously we know that's coming. But like, it wasn't the mental Ubi show that it was last year. Or the year before, sorry. And I'd like another mental Ubi show, because it always enjoy those. Even if they have nothing I want to play, they're at least a laugh to watch. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Like, give me an interesting surprise. So again, a lot of my predictions, I say predictions, they're kind of like either stuff we kind of know is going to be there, or just baseless speculation. So I'm looking forward to chat about it, though. I'm looking forward to explore the realms of possibilities.
I think we're in an interesting place at the moment where it's going to be curious to see what happens this year and also moving up to next gen, because the previous management at Microsoft hugely stuffed up their launch of the Xbox One. Sony took advantage of that and have just cannoned through this generation. They've obviously had exclusive games from third parties, as well as they've been going super strong with their own stuff. But I think there have been a lot of practices which have been very anti-consumer, and Microsoft is trying to build trust and is doing some really great and revelatory things consumer-wise, but they haven't got the exclusive games that would challenge Sony at this point. So if Sony are then looking at Microsoft and looking at the consumer stuff, Microsoft have got an eye on Sony and like, right, we really need to build up really good quality games that people give us stuff about. This is great, because each is taking a little from the other, and that's the best competition. And obviously both of them are looking at Nintendo and just going like, who would have thought that happened? So I think it's great, and I think that as somebody that leans more towards the Xbox side of things but loves competition, this is the best place for a consumer to be, because a strong Microsoft, a strong Nintendo and a strong Sony bring out the best in each other.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And interesting, especially with Nintendo as always, to see that their style of competition is something completely, as you say, off to the side almost. Not to say it's not successful and it's not impacting games, but it's just they're not going head to head at all, and actually in their attitude, and it's not even just their practice, it's comments that have been said. Phil Spencer, every time he seems to say anything, it's conciliatory towards Sony, which, I mean, okay, he kind of has to be, but he doesn't really have to be. He can say anything he wants, but also talking, saying all the right things. Whereas with some of, not necessarily the guys on stage for Sony, but for some of their higher ups who've been in interviews, kind of this time last year, I remember talking about it with you guys. Just some of the stuff they've been saying just seems really, like, boneheaded seems harsh, because they're clearly doing good stuff, but just like tone deaf in terms of how it would come across to their consumers, I guess.
I find
Let's just say Jim Ryan and leave it there.
Yeah, Jim Ryan. Yeah,
him.
This is the weird thing, because I mean, I like and genuinely get a feel for people who love games, who are working in games and just crazy adoring what they do. Like, years back you saw Bungie, when they were doing Halo, going like playing one of the new Uncharted's, and like Naughty Dog sort of down at playing like new Halo, and you could see that they spoke to each other with regards to the tech that they were using as well. And I like that. Oh, I really love games, and I can't wait to check out what you've got. Like Chew at Sony's fantastic. I get a really good feeling from Sean Layden on the one hand, that he's very proud about what he does, but there doesn't seem to be an outward camaraderie between him and the other people, even though I know that Phil Spencer gets on with him and stuff. Spencer seems to really love games, and I think that the things that he's done with Xbox to try and turn the ship from the just abomination that was there previously is brilliant. And I like that, he'll congratulate Sony on launching a new IP with Bloodborne. That he'll play through Sony's big games, and he'll sort of learn from it, and he'll speak about it, and he gets crap for it. Why are you talking about PlayStation? It's like, bloke loves games. I like having those people in charge as opposed to your Jim Ryans who, one of the things that I'm curious about as to whether it's in this generation or if it's going to be in the next one is Sony's trademarked PlayStation backwards compatibility. Seeing Jim Ryan sort of look at previous iterations of was it Gran Turismo and just talk about why would anybody want to play these? They look awful.
Yeah. Why would anyone want to go back? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just why
I can tell him to sort of. I played a PS1 game for the first time last week.
I want to celebrate the history of games, and being somebody that fell in love with games with the Commodore 64. There's so much of British gaming history which just isn't available anymore. Yeah. It's not there. If it turned up on an N64 or something like that, on an NES or something of that regard, it's possible you might still be able to get it. But there's things that I adored when I was a kid, and I just not got anymore. Yeah. And I don't like to see gaming thrown away, and certain people can say like, oh well, I'd just plug in my old console if I want to play an old game. Well, not everybody's got that kind of room under the telly. Not everybody's got the sort of finances where they might be able to keep a console around. They might have to trade something in against the new model.
We were talking about this last time, weren't we?
We were, and I quite like it being able to stick an old favourite in the machine and play it, and even have that available for. Oh, I can nip down CX and buy that for £1.50. I never played it. That looks all right, and I like that. And I'm hoping that what Microsoft are doing with original Xbox, with 360, with Xbox One, will continue to the next generation. It's just going to be nice to look back at all those games and go, you know what? My new machine's launched. I've still got all that stuff that I can play.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think legacy is important, and I'm really hoping that Sony celebrate that because I think it's in their interest.
Especially for people like us who, we're not. I mean, sometimes you see big media is just focused on what's coming out tomorrow. Like, what's this week's game we're all going to play? What's next week's game? What are we playing today? Whereas, like myself particularly, I know you do, CJ, and I'm sure you're the same, James, with Kane and Rince. We have a more broad, I suppose, taste in and that's in terms of release dates and things. Even a good game is a good game. Just because it didn't come out last week doesn't mean I shouldn't be interested. Like I say, I played a game called Chase the Express that I picked up for £1 in a charity shop ages ago, and it's like a shit Die Hard Resident Evil thing on a train, and it was really, really fun. But big console or big media doesn't care about that. And I think with a nod to the past, we've got these massive collections, or I know I have anyway, and it's just nice to have it all in one place. I guess I like my games. I don't give a shit when they came out.
I think it's just nice, as you're saying, CJ, to think that you could trade in the old console in order to be able to afford the new one, but you can hang on to the old games. If you have a choice, do it that way rather than having to get rid of a load of old games that you're maybe not wedded to in order to keep the ones you are, because you have to hang on to the console. And I've still got my PS3, but it's not been plugged in for a good long while, and that does stop me thinking, I'll just put in Demon Souls when the servers were going to be turned off for that. I thought, it'd be nice, and I thought, I'm not going to go upstairs, unbox the PS3, plug it in. It's just not going to happen. And yeah, that's laziness on my part, but you know what else? It'd be great if I could put that disc in my PS4 and play it. That without hesitation.
Well, I mean, maybe at E3 you might be able to.
I think that's not entirely unlikely, to be honest. But yeah, there's a perfect example that's related to something close to all three of our hearts, where if we're talking Dark Souls, I could put that in my Xbox One. If we're talking Demon Souls, I have to still have a PS3 that works and be able to plug it into my TV.
I mean, it's nice in the regard of the the work that Microsoft have done with the backwards compatibility, that the developer has to do nothing. It's the strength of the engine that's the Xbox One pretending to be an Xbox 360, and yet still adding a little extra grunt in there. And that's even before the stuff they've done with the backwards compatibility for Xbox One X with certain titles, with the 9 times resolution boost and stuff. Developers are making money from that, and whilst people can go to TX and stuff, are you telling me that Red Dead Redemption, when that came out on backwards compatibility and then got that amazing boost for X, you're telling me that Rockstar didn't make a pretty penny on that through digital
and
sales?
literally all they had to do was give a green light to Microsoft. But I think that's 100%. The benefit. We've seen that before. PS3 originally had backwards compatibility, but it was extra hardware emulation put into the system. Whereas what Microsoft, they are a software company. They know how to create an emulator that's universal and just allow everything to plug into it. And that's not to say there's not incredibly smart people at Sony that could do that, but that's not that. Just from those examples, that's not where their head's at. Their head's at if we want to emulate, and PS3 had different architecture. That's now something that's a problem for Sony.
Yeah.
But, absolutely, yeah.
But there, to be able to do that the way Microsoft had and just make it almost universally emulatable for any software, or almost any software, as long as the publisher or developer gives the green light. And some people will pick those games up digitally because they don't have the discs anymore, or they've now got a terabyte's worth of storage on their Xbox and they can just afford to install it rather than finding the disc or having a disc reader or whatever. They'll get some extra sales from that. Rockstar will see some extra sales of DLC from that because they've got an Undead Nightmare in that particular case. And also it means that those games can continue coming as part of Games with Gold, whereas Sony by this time next year will not be providing Vita and PS3 games on PlayStation Plus anymore, which I think's fine. We're 5 years by that point, nearly 6 years into this generation. I don't think they have to, but Microsoft can do that, and every time they have an extra couple of games every month that are 360 games, that's immediately added to the backwards compatibility roster and just continues to increase the number of games that are available.
Can you imagine? If Sony do get their head around backwards compatibility in the same way as Microsoft had done, can you imagine the launch of the PS5 and the first E3 where they talk about the PS5 and they're saying about this game's going to be launching and that game's going to be launching, and console launches in general, there's not really that much software. If Sony just went, we've got a few old favourites from previous times that you might want to check out on the new machine. Bloodborne's now going to be running at 60 frames per second, and it's going to look like this. Instantly, you go oh my god, I'm going to be playing super fast Bloodborne. Absolutely going to be making a new run of that.
Knack in 4K. Wow.
Well, but Knack's a great point, because some people did like Knack originally, but a lot of people saw that as a game they weren't going to touch at launch. And
I'm one of those people. I genuinely enjoyed Knack. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, but of the launch selection, for a lot of people, it's kind of like, here's the 2 that I'm interested in out of, say, 10 or 12 or 20 or whatever. Whereas if you can immediately say to them, but you've also got all your old games, so don't worry about it. Here's 200 games we're making backwards compatible from PS3 or PS2 or whatever.
Or even if they were doing that kind of drip feed that Microsoft do, where it's like, I know Tuesday and Thursday there's going to be an announcement for some stuff that's coming to backwards compatibility, and I like that. The original Xbox stuff, there's still stuff like Silent Hill 2, which was completely screwed over for PS3 and 360.
Oh, it's horrible.
But I am desperate for them to announce that on original Xbox backwards compatibility. Likewise, Burnout 3. Please, please, please give me Burnout 2 and Burnout 3. I will be happy as Larry. And there's lots of this stuff. There's a little sort of dodge to the right. Last year, I think it was last year, they announced Game Pass.
Yes.
And I've been there's lots of stuff on there that I might not have picked up, but occasionally have gone, oh, that looks pretty good. I mean, recently I was playing a game called The Final Station, which is an absolute little gem, real quirky little bastard. And been enjoying that. There's loads of other stuff that I can dive into, and even with the exclusive titles that are now coming to it, people are going like, "Why aren't you doing yourself out of a sale?" But if you've got the audience that's coming to it for $7.99 a month and they're staying with it, there's a certain point surely that's going to go beyond the sale.
Well, and also you're seeding engagement like a Netflix, where people
Yeah.
may want this particular film that came out 6 months ago and isn't yet on Netflix. They will go to Netflix and find something else to watch rather than renting it on an Apple or an Amazon video service. And they'll end up watching stuff. Several articles I've read talking about these weird cult films that have popped up on Netflix and ended up having loads of people watch them who would never have seen them otherwise. And people watching...
Well, that's happened with TV series as well, hasn't it? With stuff that didn't get its audience on the regular telly, and all of a sudden you've got these little pockets of niches that are, those people are turning up and watching stuff and then looking for other stuff that's similar to watch, and rather than trying to appeal to the masses, whatever that is now, because geek is so popular, if you're appealing to all of these people within their specific niches, that's kind of cool.
So we're talking about a situation for Microsoft where, not for their first party games that they're putting on Game Pass, but for the other games that are maybe lesser known, people wouldn't necessarily be buying them anyway. So Microsoft put them on there. It gets people used to using Game Pass, and it gets for the publishers and developers of those games, people playing their games, and presumably a certain amount of kickback from Microsoft per play or just for having it on there, whatever the deal they have for that is. And it gets people used to using that service, and the more people use it, whether it's for a couple of months and then come off and then go back on, people are aware of the service, they're used to using it, and it means people are more likely to go there. If it's just, we're between big releases, it's quiet in the summer, I just want a game to play, let's see what's on Game Pass, or let's see what's on EA Access. And then
consumers have also got a choice as well. I mean, not everybody can afford to lay down 50-odd quid when a game comes out.
Especially if it's a risk.
If you're putting down like $7.99, you've got a load of other stuff in there, plus you can play that game and see if it's up for you. That's reasonable. And I know that, many years ago I was out of work and for a long time, and Halo 4 I think was coming out at that point, and I literally put £5 a month aside to be able to get that. And that's
that's £5 a month or very close to would actually get you access to 100 games, or more than 100 on there now, isn't there? So yeah, absolutely,
exactly. I just think it's giving people a choice to do whatever's best for them is a good thing. And again, like I say, Sony are soaring away with amazing exclusives that they've got. A third party, like the focus on their own first party stuff has been exceptional. If Microsoft can take a look at that, and they seem to be with this, getting this new studio sorted, and they're looking at that
really
with jealous eyes. Yeah. I'm hoping Sony are looking at what Microsoft have done consumer-wise.
Absolutely.
And it's good for both parties moving forward.
Yeah, both have stuff to learn, and both have an opportunity there to make really big strides by just taking what their competitors doing and saying, we'll do something similar. And all right, for PlayStation, that might be, okay, we'll roll PlayStation Now into an equivalent Game Pass service, or roll it into PlayStation Plus, or whatever they can do with that. I've not used PlayStation Now. I've seen some of it, and it doesn't look that impressive to me. But if that's how it has to be done, because PS3 back compatibility just isn't quite as seamless as 360 backwards compatibility is, then fine. But there definitely needs to be some movement there. And yeah, what an opportunity for Microsoft, or I should say for Xbox, a company that have a lot of resources but have shot themselves in the foot for the last 5 years, kind of last part of the 360 and the first part of the Xbox One generation, with just
arrogance,
letting talent go from developers they've got, shutting down some developers, letting their kind of tentpole franchises just kind of fall into a certain amount of not disrepair, but just not caring for them as maybe they should have. And it's not an easy thing to do, but what an opportunity to put some money in, to get some studios up and running, and to either go back into their kind of well of stuff that they've got available to them in terms of existing franchises, or try something new.
Or try something new with an existing franchise. Look how well God of War did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very true.
Who expected that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know in the media there is a mainly PlayStation sort of bias or focus, I guess, and there's a lot of time I see on my Twitter and in general just like a Xbox lol at the minute. But I want Sony at their best. I want Xbox at their best.
Of course.
And because even when you look back to those early days of like 360 and stuff, Sony had shot themselves in the foot with the get a second job stuff with the PS3. There were lots of first party stuff that just wasn't clicking and wasn't doing well, and There's always transition in the gaming industry, but to see the thought of seeing all three of the big companies absolutely knocking it out of the ballpark would just be a joy. And it's what I really want to see, because it's going to be best for everybody. We're going to get the best games. It's just going to be... that's I always get excited about this time of year anyway, but I think that's the place where we're at. And it adds a little drama, a little sort of little spice to what might happen this year as well.
So much possibility, yeah, absolutely.
So let's bounce into it then. The first one I've got down here is Square Enix having a conference again this year.
Oh, we're doing them out of order. Oh no, my notes.
Oh, are you going to have to look to a different part of your notes?
No, I'm scrolling down my Google Doc. Here it is.
Oh my god.
It upsets me that it's not in order. It upsets me greatly.
Don't matter.
Do you not alphabetize your games?
No. I skim them in the corner, Patrick. I don't even think most of them are in a box.
Don't even put them in the case, do you? Just sling them in the dirty plate. Just there you go. That's
just got an old CDR spindle, just with disc after disc on one on top of the other.
Oh god, one of those those ones that you like, a book one that you would put your CDs in, but there's like three in each hole.
The case logic,
scratching.
So
animals.
I was given fair warning to think of a thing I would love to see at each of the conferences, which I am affectionately calling Tool.
I see what you
would love.
This is an idea from Patrick.
Yeah, I thought I was kind of putting my predictions down when I was doing my notes last week, not last night. And I just thought I was sort of putting together the stuff I thought we'd see, but then right, what would make me go ah? And I thought that could be quite fun.
Yeah.
Do you want to do these at the end?
Do them at the end.
The natter?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do them at the end. Yeah, do them at the end.
So, where obviously Square haven't had a conference for a few years now, and the last one there was a few sort of left of centre bits like Nier Automata and stuff, where we were kind of looking like going. That game had a very niche audience and wasn't technically brilliant, but was loved. You doing sequel with Platinum? Really? What? And it's now hit 3 million sales.
Yeah, good.
Fantastic. So that's the strongest one that I can remember from their previous conference. Although, didn't they have sort of a show off a few kind of neat Switch bits and the Nintendo conference last year? There was a mech one that looked kind of cool. I can't remember what it was. There were it was in early development, but that looked kind of cool. I think there might be something to do with Metal Gear that was... Oh, one of the designers, the artist from the Metal Gear Solid designs was
Shinkawa. Oh. That knowledge has left my brain. I do not recall that at all. Maybe it was a dream.
Into mind now. But yeah, I think they had. There's been the continued additions to Final Fantasy 15 DLC.
Yeah.
I think Dissidia bombed quite.
Yeah, that came and went in like a week, didn't it?
Secret of Mana, I don't think did brilliantly, although didn't have a crazy large budget. Is there anything else that you can kind of think that's come out
that's come out from? Oh Christ! From the last year, I barely remember from last year.
No. It's been relatively quiet from Square, because we know there's stuff on the way. There's stuff that's leaked, like new Tomb Raider and stuff like that. But in terms of I mean, the biggest notable thing that's happened with Square in the past kind of year is them letting IO go and take the Hitman license with them, which is an incredible thing. I can't think of many giant publishers like that sort of size who would willingly just say, okay, we're clearly not going to be able to sell you as a developer, we're going to let you go and we're going to let you take your IPs with you. That they had no reason to let go, but they did.
Where have they ended up now? Where's Hitman ended up?
IO are independent. They signed a distributing deal with Warner Brothers for the Hitman Definitive Edition Season 1 that came out like a couple of months ago. And yeah, on the Warner Brothers website, Hitman 2 logo was spotted at some point over the past couple of days and has since disappeared. But yeah, I think they've got like a pre-E3 showcase tomorrow, Thursday the 7th. So tomorrow.
Oh no, not. Oh
yeah, I know.
I'm excited because there's lots of stuff, but also, dear God, how much stuff do I have to watch?
So I don't.
Yeah, it's this weird time where all of those companies and games that maybe haven't got a spot to get grandstanded at E3 are going to make sure they get out before the rush, where they would just get drowned if they waited until.
It just means that the rush starts 3 weeks early, though, doesn't it?
It really
It's been relentless.
Although I'd like to think Hitman 2 or Hitman Season 2 or whatever it's going to be would be big enough to get onto a stage. Because I'm not the only one who thought that was the best thing that came out in 2016 and kind of blew me away. I mean, I'm a series fan anyway, but that was an absolutely astonishing game as far as I'm concerned. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm not the only one who feels like that. It surely would be worth a mention on some kind of stage. But yeah, so that's no longer at Square. So that's where that tangent went.
No, moving on. Square are making an Avengers game, aren't they?
They are.
That might.
I want to hear more about that.
That might be my tool.
Ooh, tool.
Yeah, Marvel games are spreading themselves all over the place. They kind of, along with so Disney had a game studio that's now kind of disbanded, and they're just managing licenses everywhere. Marvel are all over the place and pretty proactive in managing those licenses and pulling the license away from games that they don't think are performing as they should be, as happened with I'm going to forget the name of it. It's not Champions, it's the one that got rebranded.
Oh, I know,
the times got a title,
the Diablo-y looking one.
Yeah. They pulled the license away from that in the past year. There was rumours they were going to do the same with Marvel vs. Capcom after it did so terribly. There was rumours that might end up getting delisted, and there's been no DLC announcements for that. But yeah, there was an announcement like at least a year ago, I guess, that there was going to be an Avengers license given to Square Enix, and who knows, that could be an Ultimate Alliance alike, although obviously not Ultimate Alliance because that's an Activision property.
They're everywhere.
Dynamics. It's Crystal Dynamics that are doing it as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Crystal Dynamics, who are also working on a Tomb Raider, as far as I'm aware, they're doing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So they've obviously.
I thought that was Montreal.
Right. Okay.
I thought it was. I thought it was the Deus Ex team that were working on Shadows of the Tomb Raider.
That's entirely possible, because I think initially
that studio.
The suspicion was that Montreal would be given the Avengers license, but yeah, I guess they've handed that to Crystal Dynamics, and given Shadows of the Tomb Raider is pre-established, with the direction that the previous two games are going, maybe hand that to Montreal.
The only other thing I know about sort of Crystal Dynamics is that the former studio head is now heading up that quadruple A Santa Monica studio that Microsoft has set up.
Right. Okay.
Which is interesting. But yeah, so seems we're here. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is there. Did you play the last one? Did you play the first, the reboot? And is there any hype from yourselves on this?
I'll go first. I played the reboot. I can't remember when I played it, but it wasn't when it came out. Certainly, I liked it. I think I played it sort of when I was still really, really liking Uncharted, though. It kind of just felt like more of that, but I didn't like it as much. It was fine. Like, it was okay, but it wasn't something I'd play again. Like, I did it once and I'm done with it. I didn't bother with the last one, Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
I think it was the one with the snowy stuff. Didn't bother with that, and this new one, I just cannot summon up any enthusiasm. The marketing is making me want to die. It's like, see how Lara really becomes the Tomb Raider. That was what they said about the last two.
Yeah.
No, but
when is
really
she going to
this
actually
time?
be the like? We know
No,
she's
really.
the Tomb Raider. Like, oh, she's going to go buy the tank top. Like, who gives a shit? Just say a new adventure. And like the pre-order like marketing hype circle they've released. It's like a weird Aztec circle with things around that. It's like, oh, in March we'll show a new teaser, and in February we'll show the first DLC, and then when the game's released, and then three months after the game's released, we'll release another costume pack. Fuck off. Just fuck away with that.
We've had stuff like this before where I forget there's at least one game that's done this, where depending upon the number of pre-orders they had, they would release extra pre-order bonuses.
Oh, they
was
tried
Deus
it
Ex,
with
wasn't it?
They tried it with Deus Ex. Yeah.
Oh, it's the same people then.
So that explains exactly why.
It's the same studio as well.
You bastards! It didn't work. It won't work.
Didn't work the first time. They had to kind of
they just suck it
dial
off and
back
released it all anyway, didn't
of
they?
it,
yeah.
and just give all the pre-order bonuses to anyone who pre-ordered. And yeah, all of this also, I guess, invites the question of, does that mean Deus Ex is just done for now? It'd kind of be about time for them to be thinking of a sequel to Mankind Divided. It's been a couple of years now, but yeah, I guess we'll see. In terms of Tomb Raider, I thought there were things about the reboot I liked. There was a lot of stuff I didn't. And yeah, a lot of stuff where I felt it was just aping other games and not necessarily doing as well at it. Some story beats and QTE stuff that was just, I thought, cringeworthy in terms of how crowbarred in it felt. And I wasn't interested in the second one until I got an Xbox One X, and it was one of the first games to get some notable enhancements, and
it looks pretty.
It looks amazing, yeah. So it got a lot of the stuff that was already on PC, I'll say, for anyone who's listening who is screaming that at the moment. But yeah, it looked amazing on Xbox One X.
It's all right, James. We don't have that kind of listener. We're okay. You can just say stuff.
But yeah, again, it didn't inspire me necessarily. But then any game that kind of comes off a little bit Uncharted, it's not going to inspire me much anyway. So yeah, it looked amazing, and it was more of the same. But I'm not desperate to play the new one. But you know, it's a game I'll certainly pay some attention to, and I'm sure at some point I'll put it on to at least just say, oh, how pretty this looks. Yeah, it's a nice showcase, and for Square Enix, it's kind of the go-to for all of their engine tech and making things look spiffy, which is quite nice.
And Lara's still a draw. Lara's always been a draw.
I took a few swipes at the reboot to actually enjoy it and start playing it. The kind of, I don't know, the quirk for me was with the Kinect on the Xbox One. because you could call out your weapon changes on it.
All right.
And it was fantastic. Instead of like fiddling about with the D-pad, you could just be like, shotgun, fire arrows. And it was just like, you know, if you've got enemies coming at you on the fly and you need to adapt, it was amazing to do. And that they didn't carry that into the second one.
But also, can you imagine Lara sneaking through a forest trying to stalk her enemies, just shouting at them as they turn to see her, just shouting at them, shotgun, and then just blowing them away?
Lara Croft is anime.
That's just,
mind you, that I mean, there is that valid criticism that she was. They were going for a realism, and she was heartbroken when she kind of killed the deer at the start. And within 5 minutes, she's sort of stabbing people in the neck, and she's just not arsed. And the weird thing as well with this Tomb Raider was it was going for a more gritty and realistic feel, but soon veered off into kind of spirits.
Yeah.
And the unknown magic. It'd be like, no, just if you're gonna do something that's more realistic, fine, take that go for that take. But I don't know, it just seemed a little bit wonky. It threw me off guard when it happened.
To be fair, both of those complaints are things that bother me about Uncharted. They don't necessarily lean into the gritty realism and the emotional impact stuff, but they want gravitas from their story, and then they throw blue Yeti men at you, and it's just, come on.
I kind of like that in the first.
I love
the
that.
first Uncharted, where there was
where the turn goes when you go in the submarine and shit, just like, oh god, what's this? I love
with
that.
the kind of the zombie sort of scurrying creatures in the first one. I genuinely didn't expect that, and I think because it was a big chisel-jawed, chatty, jokey, kind of big screen cinematic experience, I was more acclimated to enjoy that little sort of tweak. Whereas with them going for super realistic and super real in Tomb Raider, and to then veer towards whoa, it's magic, was a little bit wonky. But to be honest, I miss the Lara who just was super confident and just went raiding tombs and sort of exploring stuff because it excited her, and she run in and she guns blazing, and she'd be flinging off stuff like she was in the Matrix, and like laughing about it, and like there was something really energizing and brilliant, and kind of like the way that Grant Morrison writes Batman. There's a level of glee that of embracing the danger and being ignited by it that I liked on the original take on Lara, and I don't feel the same about this version of Lara, and I have no hype for this game whatsoever. None.
I don't know for sure whether they'll get back to that, because obviously the whole notion of this game is finally Lara's going to embrace the Tomb Raider she's destined to be, nonsense, whatever they mean by that. So maybe they'll get back to that point, but I get the feeling they won't, simply because like some of the tech demo stuff that Naughty Dog did with Nathan Drake, where when he's injured he's grabby Nathan, clinging on to everything in sight, and whenever he bumps into something he reacts to it. That sort of stuff gets across a vulnerability, even though he's bulletproof in every way, shape or form. It's supposed to kind of get across that he is a real guy, and I get the feeling they are going for that with Lara as well, where no matter how much of a superhero she is, they still want that kind of vulnerable side where occasionally things are going to rattle her and are going to kind of knock her off her game, and she is going to feel vulnerable. So yeah, I agree. I kind of do hope they get back to super confident,
and maybe this time she doesn't fall off every single thing in the game, because that wound me up about the first reboot game. She just fell off. If there was a small ledge, she was going down it. Yeah. Like, oh no, here's a cliff. Lara, no, and down she would go every single time, and be fine, just like a bit knocked up. But like, come on, you've got crampons now. Come on, stop falling off things.
Well, it should be fine as long as you hit the QTE prompt. Otherwise, should be a bag of bones at the bottom of a crevasse.
Now, the next one's a cause of sort of genuine exciting for me because it just looks fantastic, and I might even book time off when it comes out. But I really want that Dragon's Quest game on PS4. It looks beautiful, and I'm just
which
100%
one?
ready. The new one.
There's a few.
No, there's only one that's coming to the PS4.
Not the Builders one.
No, not.
Oh, okay. I'm behind the times. You go. I know nothing.
There's a very big, bright, gorgeous, beautiful, proper Dragon's Quest game that's coming to PS4, and I think it's coming to Switch as well, which just looks sensationally beautiful, and according to 8-4 Play, is a stunning game, possibly the best in the entire series. It's coming out in September over here, and I'm supremely excited for it. It looks...
Is it Dragon's Quest 11?
Gorgeous.
Is that the one?
I don't know which one in the series it is.
I'm just trying to Google.
To be honest, it's a kind of blink and miss it situation with Dragon Quest announcements, isn't it? There's kind of always 5 on the go.
Yeah,
I mean, Builders was a good game, a really good game. But a proper. I'm ready.
Yeah. I think it is.
I'm ready for a big traditional, like gorgeous RPG anyway. And this just looks sensational. Have you seen it? What do you make of it?
I'm scrolling. It looks okay, I guess. Google image search is not doing a good job. Again, you put in Dragon Quest PS4 and it's not doing very well.
So lots of fan art, I imagine.
Builders looks great. Yeah.
In all honesty, I've never played a Dragon Quest. I do have a vague recollection of what you're talking about, CJ. I do remember Dragon Quest 11 being announced and being kind of looking a bit special, but
it is Dragon's Quest 11 Echoes of an Elusive Age, I think.
Yeah, diving in at the 11th point in a series would probably give Paddy heart palpitations. So
it hurts.
Yeah, but it's a standalone game.
I know.
It's not the point.
And it looks, and like I say, from listening to 8-4 Play talk about the Japanese version, when they've been playing it, they were just glowing. Apparently, it's an absolute belter.
So is Dragon Quest a series you've played a lot of previously, or is it just this one that's grabbed your attention?
Not really. I played the one on PS2, which was great. And I think I've picked up a few 3DS ones along the way.
I was going to say 3DS seems to be the place it's been.
But I haven't kind of really dived into them sort of that much. But this looked nice when there was the reveal a good few years ago. And I'm just super ready for it. It just looks beautiful in a way that RPGs sort of haven't looked for a while. It looks like the sort of thing that you might have seen on PS2, but just that extra grunt with tech and sort of the tweaks for modern technology, but without going, right, we should do this now because this is what everybody does. It just seems like, oh, we can do this. We can sort of take what we've got and just make it a little bit more special and make it sparklier and nicer. And there seems to be a sincerity and a magic to what I've seen. And like I say, the way that 8-4 have glowingly praised the game is enough for me. I'll take a week off for this.
Well, I think while we're here, then that leads quite nicely into the thing I would love, my twill. I really want to see some more of Dragon Quest Builders too, because Laura, particularly...
Oh, it's co-op, yeah.
Yeah, Laura played the living shit out of the last one. Probably close to 200, 300 hours. Like, she played a ton of that game. And a lot of it was, micro-organising the town and making it pretty and making everything look beautiful and using the right things and completely remaking buildings in slightly better cobblestone. I shit you not. And me cackling maniacally at her when she travelled to the next realm and had to start from zero again. I'm greatly amused by that. But yeah, I would totally sit there. Not the fact that I'd watched her play it so damn much, I would have played that myself easy, and I would love to play this with her, and I want to see some more of this.
Were you playing Minecraft together as well?
Yeah, we played loads of it, yeah.
But I was surprised because I watched a lot of Holly Bennett playing it on Twitch, and I was surprised at how it pushed past my initial view that, it's just Dragon Quest Minecraft. It's not. It's got a charm and a sort of an elegance and a danger all of its own. And it looked like a really good game. But as soon as I saw that and I heard about the second one having co-op, I just thought, you two had have fun. Plus, Laura, it doesn't surprise me that she had the fun that she did with it after what was that survival game she really loved?
Don't Starve?
Yeah,
which we call No Die, because the aim of the game is to not die. It all feeds into Laura's favourite genre of game, which is picking up sticks in a fucking forest. If you can pick a stick up in a forest, Laura probably likes it. You've got Minecraft, you've got Don't Starve, you've got Dragon Quest Builders, you've got The Witcher 3 in some respects. You can pick up twigs in the middle of the forest. If you can pick up a twig in the forest, Laura's in. Not even a joke. Not even a joke.
Now, my thing I would love, I will put up next, and again, this comes back to traditional RPGs and a graphical look which just has stolen my heart. I really, really, really can't wait for July's launch of Octopath Traveler on Switch.
Yes.
Oh my word, it looks pretty. There was the demo last year that the development team seemed to have taken loads of feedback from it. And that sort of 3D, but looking like a SNES game, but the sprites almost look like they're cut out. It's just a really gorgeous look, and I'm super, super excited for Octopath Traveler. It looks great.
Yeah,
I'm looking at pictures online because I know next to nothing about it.
Oh, the artwork just looks absolutely stunning.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's like models.
Yeah. Have you seen it moving?
Oh, put it on GIF mode.
Have a look, because it's almost as if it's all in 3D. It's as if the sort of sprites are like SNES sprites, but they almost look like they've been cut out of paper and just put on top.
That's cool.
Supremely beautiful look.
That's really nice. That's really good.
It just looks, again, I think that one of the ways that I'll look at a game is if something is sincere, and it captured my heart. It looks modern, it looks retro, it looks celebratory. It's a great team that's making it. July, and also the special edition that comes out has got, if I remember rightly, you can build like a little cardboard theatre with like the little characters that can come on at the side. You can kind of bring them in. It's gorgeous.
Looks really nice. I like the pictures that I have looked at. That looks really, really nice.
So that's exciting for me.
So what are the chances, right? What are the chances of Square Enix announcing in another game, or maybe a separate game, what do you think the chances they'll announce a Battle Royale game? Out of 10.
0.
Yeah, no. Don't see it.
Can you not see him doing something weird with the Comrades thing for 15? I could see that.
No, I think there are publishers and studios and whatnot who are going to be grabbing after that. Square doesn't. No, don't see it.
No, I'd give them a 2.
Yeah. No,
Plug it into 15, because they got to do something for 15, because there's so much shit on the thing for that. Why not do a bit more?
So
people keep buying it. It's a good game. People keep buying it.
I'm going to throw in a wild card here. I think that 2 things. I think that Nier Automata will be announced on Xbox One, and I think that they will announce a remaster of the original Nier.
Yeah, I could see it, certainly. Yeah.
I could see the second thing. I don't know. Maybe.
I think if you've got a game that's sold 3 million copies on PS4 and the Xbox One is gagging for Japanese games and for new releases, at this point in time, I think that the sales are probably dried up on PS4. I think it's a good one to have. Plus, the original Nier being made available to people that they've got a taste of Automata and want to maybe playing it for the first time. All of that bodes well for whatever Nier game they're going to make after
I was going
that.
to say, yeah, this plugs the gap before they surely, given how important Nier Automata was for Platinum and seemingly how well it's done for Square, it's like I could see a Nier and Tomato next year. Certainly, yeah, I could see something new being announced. So, yeah, that would make sense. Plug the gap and kind of keep people fresh in mind that Nier is something that Square are going to be working on. One thing I've on all my notes, I've kind of cut it into my tool, and then stuff that I want to see more of, stuff that I kind of expect or hope will be revealed, and then stuff that I've called it Leave It, which is just stuff I want to stop.
Right.
Final Fantasy VII, I don't want to hear a damn thing about that game until they actually have worked out what that game is and know when they're going to release it. There's a bunch of these that I don't like across all the different conferences. I just teasing out year after year that a game is on the way and showing another really cool, good-looking cutscene with no information. Not even cutscene, like CG trailer. No, stop it.
I think they have to show something for this game this year. Whether it's a trailer or a little bit of something, because rumours have it that the previous team's work's been scrapped.
Well, exactly.
Well, somebody said that Nomura is never there. Presumably, the Final Fantasy 15 team are now at work at it. I did wonder if there'd maybe be a little teaser here and a bit more at the Sony stage. But again, I've heard folks say that Microsoft are going to have to show like glimpses of things that are far in the distance just to give people an idea that there's stuff coming. I would always rather see a game that's at E3 that's coming out like next year. You know what I mean? That's really close.
Yeah, look at this coming out in November. Months. Enjoy. Yeah.
But you look at that E3 of dreams that Sony had. Like there was stuff there that took a long time to come out, and in some cases still not out.
I just think
all that electricity they got from that. I think it was 3 a.m. UK time. Yeah. And I remember being wide awake on Twitter and Twitter going, "What?" Just like just like a stream of people going, "What the actual fuck?" When the remake got announced, and then it's like, and since then nothing. Yeah, like it's just don't do that, and then later.
This is the danger with wanting that big response that early. Is this game is now by rumor being completely scrapped? They're going completely different direction. There was rumors it was going to be broken up into like sections. Installments where you could buy like season pass or bits of it and bolt different.
Yeah, there's still rumours that it is definitely going to be episodic. But it's going to be at least 3 games.
We saw this with Hitman, where Square could not make their mind up how they wanted to sell that game. It worked out, in my opinion, in the end. Episodically makes sense for Hitman. This is a game that wasn't sold episodically, that you're trying to sell piecemeal to people. You need to be very sure about what you're doing and not float information out there that until you know what you're going to be doing with it. And with this game, if they've got like, here is gameplay, here is a date, even if the date is just 2019, fine, but to roll out another incredibly gorgeous CG trailer and then say, don't worry, we're working on it, shrug, who cares? Give me a date, give me something concrete, and don't tell me about something you hope is going to exist in 4 years' time.
Speaking of which,
don't put your dates in the cloud. Hey.
Speaking of which, but times that by about 3. Do you think that we're going to get a date for Kingdom Hearts?
They have to. This is exactly the same situation. They have to, don't they?
Yeah, they can't. At this point, we have to know something. Not that I care, but like it's. Come on.
Given that the new one is coming out on Xbox and none of the others have done, there has to be kind of one of the, I forget what they even call it now, the 2.5 blah 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 blah, where it's just like a remaster of all the previous games. Because I'm sure the PS4's got that.
Yeah.
There has to be something like that if you're going to be putting Kingdom Hearts 3 out on a different console.
Oh, 379.6 days of sickness absence from work or whatever it's called, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah.
God, it hurts.
Yeah, but they're going to have to do something like that if the new one's going to be there, because otherwise it's going to mean nothing to people, I think.
If they're showing that, to me, like, this is to me what I think has to be done. Of course they don't have to, they can do what they like. If they want to show Final Fantasy VII and give no further information about when it's going to be, fine. If they want to show Kingdom Hearts 3, fine. But at this point, they have to be, if they're showing that, saying, like, coming out at Christmas. Coming out the end of this year. Give people a line they can draw in the sand. It may still slip, but at least say to people, look, we're not just teasing you indefinitely. As much as that sounds lovely, it doesn't work over the long period.
Well, like, they've got a show this year. Like, the first time in a couple of years, they've got a show.
Yeah.
They've got to have some
Which
substance.
is why I think Avengers, something being shown about Avengers is an absolute shoe-in, because they've booked space. They're going to be streaming a conference. They must have something to show. And they need big stuff like that to be able to kind of get people kind of jazzed and excited. And Kingdom Hearts 3 is not something that I'm looking forward to necessarily. I've not played the series. I don't know it all that well. But
a large section of the internet is.
And absolutely make sure you get them on side by giving them some concrete information, because I feel sorry for people who've been waiting for that game for a decade at this point. It feels
look how much like teasing that Last Guardian, for instance, did. By the time that came out, I didn't give a shit. It's been too long at this point. Who cares? And as someone who doesn't really care about Kingdom Hearts, that's fine. But for a fan, it's like just let us have the game.
It's not,
just tell us when it's ready. Don't tease.
To nab something as well from Kind of Funny that I saw yesterday, was they mentioned that it's and this also ties into Cade and Rinse. It's the anniversary of Space Invaders, and they were curious as to whether Square might do a sort of Space Invaders anniversary, like a quirky, like new version in the same way as, was it Pac-Man, like DX
Championship Edition DX,
a few years ago, as to whether they might do something with Space Invaders. So I think it's a good call.
Or even just a tribute of some kind. It's 40th anniversary, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Would be cool.
So what's next? What show is next? Because we've been gone an hour and we've done one. And I do have to get out for work in some hours.
Yeah, I can understand this. So I've got Bethesda down next.
I think right now this is going to be. I think they're going to show the new Fallout. Well, I know you're stunned silence.
You mean Fallout 76?
Yeah,
which isn't the new Fallout.
Which is
something.
By rumour, a survival game built out of the engine of Fallout 4.
Think it's a battle royale game?
Nope.
No, survival and base building style game. They might go kind of Fortnite-y, but only in as much as Fortnite was like a Rust or a Daisy or whatever, I think. Original
as
Fortnite,
I understand it,
a bunch of men in a place.
As I understand it, Vault 76 was the first vault that
opened up,
went live.
Yeah.
And
it was
this
a normal
was before.
One. Yeah.
This was before all of the mutants and all the other stuff. And from what I can tell, there's going to be an element of building sort of communities and stuff. And
that seemed to be pretty popular in Fallout 4.
Yeah, it seems to be. It looks quite experimental. I will say on the Fallout from the rumours that I've seen, that there is a proper Fallout game which was almost mentioned last year and was pulled, called Starfield, which is apparently like essentially Fallout in space.
What?
Yeah, it's been in development for 10 years apparently.
And Bethesda have at least had the good grace not to tease us with it every year for those 10.
The person speaking about it on Reset Era has been verified as being in the position to be able to comment about it. So, apparently it's an open world first-person shooter thought to take place in the same universe as Fallout, but takes the premise up to the cosmos. So that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
Weird. I was just while we're here, worth noting, I was slightly disappointed when they revealed the number of that vault, 76, because, as we all know, 77 is the one with the one guy in the crate of puppets. Like, I was hoping we'd get that game. That would be a fun game. But sadly, a bog-standard, boring vault is all we get, which is a shame.
So were you actually thinking, like, full sequel to Fallout 4 then?
I think it'd be something. Like, you know how, like, New Vegas isn't quite a sequel to Fallout 3, but something a bit sideways. Yeah, a bit sideways. Like, same engine, but different story. Like, that's what I twigged it might be, you know, with a different focus,
No,
I guess,
think a lot of people did, and one of the leads at Obsidian kind of got straight onto Twitter and said, this ain't us much as we'd like it to be. Just to dispel that, because obviously Obsidian had a rough time with New Vegas, let's be honest. I think time has been kinder to that game than people were when it first came out. I think there was a lot of disappointment over how janky it was, when that's not necessarily in Obsidian's control, because they're kind of stuck with the tech that Bethesda gave them to a certain extent.
I think the offshoot in almost like a New Vegas regard is the Starfield.
Yeah.
Because on the article I first read, that it was dubbed at that point Fallout New California before it before it was called Starfield. But yeah, I'm curious to see that, especially after that length of development. It sounds
it's not going to be
cool,
a side shoot in terms of handing off to another developer. This is very much Bethesda software. Been making that as far as any rumor says. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, because it does feel like, given that Rage 2 has already been kind of leaked, and given that Fallout 76 has already been teased, those aren't big reveals in the show. It does feel like they might be shy a reveal. Bethesda, like last year, people thought, well, they can't have another Fallout, so what do they really have? And they still managed to surprise. And I think this year they kind of need to again. So,
like I say, the rumours, as the new Twin Humanities has gone into, that Shadows Die Twice is with Bethesda.
Yeah.
Which seems like a really good fit, and it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because they're away from Bumbag Nimble.
Yeah, absolutely. And that also leaves open the possibility that, well, it doesn't leave open the possibility, it suggests very strongly Shadows Die Twice is not Bloodborne related. It wouldn't be at all.
Yeah.
And the rumour is that From are working on up to 3 projects at the moment, which means could very well be something for, probably not Bandai Namco, just because it's been strongly stated Dark Souls is kind of done for now. But nothing suggests there couldn't be a Sony project amongst the ones that From are working on as well. So
100%.
So yeah.
New Prey standalone stroke sequel has been rumoured to be on the way, and I'll have the Xbox One X upgrade on the original. Thank you very much, so I can finally start it.
Prey is fantastic. I am a massive fan of last year's Prey, and I think, unfortunately, so my concern is, I think people who liked Prey really liked Prey, but the general response was kind of, oh yeah, but didn't necessarily get the sales.
I saw the conversation between Mike Mahadi and Timur on the GameSpot conversation. Timur gave it like a 6 out of 10, and Mike Mahadi had it as his favourite game of the year, and was drinking out of a Prey mug.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a what about over Arcane at the moment, because Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, and Dishonored 2 didn't set sales charts alike either. So Arcane have got 2 distinct teams, both capable of working on games. They both released games last year and year before. What are they working on right now? Is it a Prey standalone expansion, or is it something else Dishonored? There's been rumours that there's not going to be any more Dishonored, but you don't have 2 studios with the talent that Arcane have got, and Bethesda have to be working on something with them. So yeah,
it's a strange one with Bethesda, because I mean, looking back to last year, that Wolfenstein 2 and Evil Within 2 were well received, but did they sell well? And they certainly become cheap incredibly quickly.
So I think initially the concern was that Wolfenstein 2 hadn't, and that's why it dropped in price quite quickly. But then the drop in price and word of mouth kind of meant that in terms of numbers, it has actually sold well. This is all stuff you hear from podcasts via other sources, etc. So no figures to back this up, because obviously it's up to Bethesda whether they release those. I think the buzz that was around Wolfenstein 2 means it frankly doesn't matter. If it sold masses, it must have got the attention, surely broke even, so I can absolutely see them carrying on with that series, but this year is way too early to be announcing anything for that. But
okay, well, I will give a tickle towards, and again this was mentioned on a podcast that I watched the other day, but Doom 2.
Yeah, very Doom 2, absolutely.
Very Doom 2.
Is my tool.
Okay.
The only thing that kind of dulls my edge on that a little bit, I would say, is that came out in 2016, so yes, there's been 2 years since then, but there was also DLC for that, and there was also the Switch version they were working on, so it's not necessarily had a full 2 years of a full studio working on it, albeit,
and they made a board game.
Need everyone, but
they made a board game as well.
Sure.
Yeah. By all accounts, very good.
So yeah, but the thing that kind of tempers me most is that Bethesda, obviously, like the trend has been with Wolfenstein 2, Fallout 4, and the like, and Evil Within 2 has been to announce and then release within 12 months, quite often within 6. I can't imagine another Doom by the end of the year.
Do we think, I mean, speaking of Doom getting a Switch port, as did Skyrim,
It did.
Do we think that they're going to commit to more Switch stuff? Do we think maybe we'll get Evil Within 2 or like a Fallout 3 or a Fallout 4? Because I think the Skyrim port was done by Adam Boyes' studio.
Right, yeah.
Iron Galaxy, was it?
Iron Galaxy, yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly could, yeah. Wolfenstein 2 is or has gone to Switch as well. I think is going to Switch. It's been announced and maybe hasn't come out yet. I can't honestly remember, apologies. But yeah, I could see a Fallout 4 maybe more than a 3 or New Vegas, because they haven't really gone back to 3 and New Vegas since the Ultimate Editions or Game of the Year versions of those released, I don't think. So and unlike Skyrim,
and the engines are, let's be fair, a bit crap.
But yeah, I could see them. Evil Within 2 seems like maybe they could, but if it didn't sell well, would they? I don't know. But yeah, I could see a Fallout 4, see if they can get that working on Switch.
Can we give a bit of a tickle to Rage 2? Because that trailer was fantastic and it looks tons of fun. It looks mental. And Avalanche Studios are a very talented bunch of people.
There's where my interest comes from, absolutely. Yeah, Avalanche being on it just immediately sent that from, oh, weird curio, they've done a sequel to this game that maybe wasn't that loved, to, okay, this Mad Max with that kind of bizarre, wacky, fun, kind of dangerous edge to it that the trailer gives Rage the look of.
Almost like an element of Bulletstorm
for
in
sure.
Some of it as well, with like blowing people up in the air and then kicking them further up in the air.
Absolutely, that kind of combo system.
Also, I imagine Randy Pitchford looking at that and just going, oh shit!
We need more guns!
That looks better than anything we've ever done. Where's the aliens money? Where is it? We haven't got any. Should we release the original Borderlands on a remaster? No, I'm not joking.
Yeah. Avalanche being on that gets me very interested. How about you, Paddy? Rage 2 tickling your interest?
Here's my problem, right?
Yeah.
Here's my problem with Bethesda, and I'm thinking about this today at work, and I think here's my problem with Bethesda, right? So Bethesda will release a load of games, all right? And I'll watch E3 and I'll be quite excited. I enjoyed Bethesda last year. I enjoyed it the year before, showing off Doom and Fallout and all that stuff. So, oh, this looks really cool. And then the games come out and then I do not buy them. I just don't buy them. Man shoots gun. That isn't the kind of game I like. I don't like man shoots gun. I like man stab thing with sword. And
Yeah.
I know that's very, very simple, and there's way more to it than that. But I like the idea of a lot of Bethesda games, but I never get that far. I mean, I got Wolfers because I think CJ, you sent me that, didn't you? Because we were chatting about it, and I kind of had a bit of an interest and picked it up for a £5, and then you sent me the real version.
I sent you Wolfers and Wolfers.
Wolfers and Wolfers, the other one. I got Doom for a £5 when it came out because of some stupid Sainsbury's deal. We had to buy an avocado and some pancakes, and the deals made it a £5. And the bloke in the Sainsbury's van turned up.
Who put you onto that deal?
Yep, that was good.
Who put you onto that deal?
About 10 minutes before it stopped working as well. So.
Yeah.
And the bloke turned up like, have you shopped with Sainsbury's before online? Like, no. As well, here's the thing. And we had to substitute your avocado for a different avocado. I'm like, oh no, where's Doom?
Then you pulled out a shotgun to blow him away.
Yeah, I think I got. I picked up Dishonored. I think I tried playing the Plus version, and then somebody, I can't remember who now. I feel terrible. I think it was Martin Charlton, maybe, sent me the PS4 remaster of it that came as a copy with Dishonored 2. I think there's a digital code, so I played Dishonored original on the PS4, and I enjoyed it. Fine, I enjoyed it, but I didn't then go and buy Dishonored 2. I enjoyed Fallout 3, but I didn't buy New Vegas or 4. I don't think I would ever touch an Elder Scrolls game again unless it does something amazing. Like, I just... Man shoots gun. It's man shoots gun, innit? I've done that.
You know what all of this sounds like, CJ? This sounds like what Paddy's saying is we're talking about all these great games Bethesda have released that don't sell well, and what Paddy's just said is he's the problem. He's part
I just
of
don't buy them. Yeah,
I'm really excited by all these games, but I'm not going to buy them.
Well, they don't make games that are particularly for me anymore. Like, even Very Doom, like, I got halfway through Very Doom, and I really enjoyed it, but fuck me, that game's intense.
Yeah.
Like, I could play a level and have to put it down for a while and then do a level, and I didn't...
I'm the same.
I couldn't sink into it.
Yeah, no, it's very much a game where I found myself forgetting to breathe and blink for long periods of time.
But do you know what I would love? Do you know what my twill is? Tool. Tool, right? It's never going to happen, right? Never going to happen. Here's my tool. Give me Wet 2.
No, it's
fucking love Wet. Wet was friggin' brilliant. Wet was like Tony Hawk's, but with guns. It was, you were ninja flips and doing slow-mo in the air and doing cool Matrix wall runs and spinning on stuff and shooting the gun, but in a cool kind of backflip way. Loved Wet. Played the shit out of Wet. I rented it from Love Film, then I ended up buying it as well because I wanted to play it some more. Give me Wet 2. That's what I want. Parkour.
That's I don't think that's going to happen. That was published by Bethesda, but it was one of the group of games that they published, but kind of hadn't made themselves.
But give it to me. Like that's if Paddy doesn't like man shoot gun, Paddy does like runny jumpy climby flippy woohoo.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's my genre.
So let's going on to EA. Last year's show. Oh my!
More
even in retrospect. Oh my!
More shoutcasters and streamers, please.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They were glorious. That poor guy that turned around and didn't say anything. Didn't see you there. Come on.
Someone's autocue stopped working. Yeah, they need to.
You're a professional YouTube person. You should have words ready. That's your job. Literally your job.
I mean, you've got to say as well that since last year, there's even more pressure on them following the loot box controversies and the failure of Star Wars Battlefront 2. They say they're pressing ahead with loot boxes regardless of legislation, so good luck with that.
Oh, that's really good to see a publisher take a stand against legislation against gambling. It's really good.
Yeah.
So, Anthem, we saw a glimpse of here, and then a bigger reveal at Microsoft last year. I presume Microsoft have got marketing rights on Anthem. Are we going to see the same sort of thing here? Just a smish at EA and then a bigger reveal on the Xbox stage?
Probably.
Yeah, possibly, or maybe split.
Because they got Battlefield, haven't they? So they've got their big one that they're trying to show off for Christmas. Like, I think Anthem's far enough away that they can do the same again.
I mean, you could split it with trailer and then gameplay, or with dialogue and then action, or different modes if there's like different mission types or something. You could split it and show one thing at one and one thing at the other. But yeah, it all kind of depends how far along this is, because I don't see.
Apparently it's Apparently it's early next year, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's releasing.
Yeah.
Do you think in the gameplay we see that the other player will get a Jara's Wrath gun this time? Because I was really invested in that. Because he got it and the other one didn't. It's like, whoa, where does the second guy get the gun? That's not fair.
Don't you just love where they've got the voice actors and they're doing their kind of made up banter?
Yeah.
Not to divert too much. This is the one thing that Sea of Thieves got right on their show, was that it was actual bullshit talk.
Actual people just chatting.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Like, and this is just like, oh wow, let's go do a quest, shall we? Oh, that's rad. Oh no, sweet loot drop, bruh.
Because that Sea of Thieves stuff, I mean, I played a little amount of Sea of Thieves, and that was a good example of exactly how you talk to people in that game.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool, and the Anthem stuff it reminded me of the Division.
I was going to say, we all looked at Ubisoft's way of doing kind of like fake gamer commentary and chat and thought, ooh, cringeworthy, and EA thought, yes, we'll have some of that, please.
Do you know what they need to show, right? Back to Sea of Thieves, right? You need to show like the best Sea of Thieves clip that exists on the internet, which is it's the video is simply called Captain Look, and it's a Sea of Thieves boat sailing along, and there's just, they're chatting away, and then you just hear like just screaming, you hear, Captain! What? Look! And they turn around and there's a ship like 10 yards away, and everyone just panics and it goes mad. They've overlaid the Pirates of the Caribbean music on top as well. It's one of the funniest ones because you don't see it coming.
Oh, check that out.
Do that. Just put Captain Look into YouTube, you'll find it. It's very funny. Very, very, very funny. I don't give a shit about Anthem. I
am, which means I'm getting it on Xbox One X. I'm not going to do Destiny 2
Okay, here's the thing with Anthem, right? Unless they show something amazing, right? Here's how I see it in my small brain way, right? Oh, it's Destiny, but if you're Iron Man, I don't have room in my life for a game that big anymore. Like,
just don't call it Anthem. Just call it, look, it's Destiny, but you're Iron Man.
But you're Iron Man. Am I wrong? Like, it just looks like that, and it's going to be massive, and the loot's going to be generated randomly, so you have to run the same shit over and over. It's the Destiny model again. It looks like the Destiny model, and I've burned out on that model. I don't have enough time in my life for that anymore. I should be excited. It looked lovely. I just don't care.
The thing is, by all accounts, Destiny have run out of patience with the Destiny model.
Well, true.
Can we sort of shine a bit of a light on last night where that sort of vidoc came out, and then everybody started breaking down things like, hold on, so you can't play Forsaken unless you've got the other two DLCs, and there's going to be a season pass for stuff that we don't really know about, but it looks like the sort of thing that they should be giving away as like a gesture of goodwill.
Bungie.
And then straight after that happened, like Warframe would just like, oh yeah, here's a load of free Twitch drops for you. Yeah, you get a Prime, you get a load of guns. We've got another 4 coming up. Did we mention that we've got a really good story quest that's launching in June? Oh yeah, and in July there's TennoCon, and we're going to be showing you the next really big expansion. All for nothing!
Yeah.
Oh, Bungie.
Yeah, well played, Warframe.
Don't be a cunt.
So yeah, I think Anthem's in a difficult spot because it kind of looks like maybe they're chasing after something that has already been proven by Bungie and Activision to not work as people want it to, or be very difficult to get right, I guess.
It's not sustainable.
The one thing I will say is that I think that if Anthem isn't a success, then BioWare are done. I think DA will dissolve them.
Oh, it's BioWare doing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, that's a problem. Again, I'm going to catch some internet shit for this, but I don't care about BioWare games. They're too wordy.
Yeah, but I've
so many words.
You don't like guns. You don't like words.
I don't like words. I don't like guns.
Games.
I like jumping on stuff. Let me jump on the stuff. I don't want to have to deal with long dialogue trees and games that market themselves, like Dragon Age was. We've got 40 novels worth of text. Oh, fuck off. Let me stab a goblin.
I'll say that Mass Effect, the original, I tried to get into a number of times and just couldn't. Dragon Age Inquisition was many people's game of the year, and I just thought it was a broken mess of a game that was barely held together with sellotape. But Mass Effect Andromeda was one of my favourite games of last year. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it had issues that some of which were patched out. The internet did their normal thing of just kicking the shit out of something. But I still maintain that I adored that story, and the last two levels are, in particular, the last level itself, it's probably the greatest ending I've ever seen in a game.
But that puts BioWare in a really difficult spot, doesn't it? Because if we're saying they're trying to thread a needle on Anthem, getting it right, and maybe they will, you know, BioWare are a big, successful studio, but can they go back to a Dragon Age and go back to classic BioWare when, you know, Inquisition got a lot of plaudits, but then within 6 months after that, Witcher 3 came out and everyone went,
It did.
Oh,
it was shit, wasn't it?
yeah, everyone kind of thought, actually, this is kind of having BioWare's cake and eating it. And does that leave them in a spot where they can't really easily go back to what they used to do? So they're trying Anthem, and Mass Effect, Andromeda, they're not going to go after that again as much as you, and there are others who might like them to. The way that performed and the way that was treated and spoken about in terms of press coverage and word of mouth, they're not going back in that direction. So where does that leave them? It's a rough spot. They have to get Anthem right. I don't envy them.
So yeah, we'll obviously have Thieves, Madden, Sports.
Yep.
Sports.
Maybe Skate.
Yeah, Skate 4. And
that could have been a twiddle for me. Oh, shit.
My hope with Skate 4 is that the 4 is the A in Skate.
Skfort.
Skvart.
Bless you.
Skaforte.
Which means that I missed a trick because it should have been Scat 3.
That's quite a bad one. Somebody mentioned that if there is going to be a new Skate game, that EA should just get Tony Hawk's on it because he was scathing of the last.
Activision no longer got a license with him. He would be a big name to get on a Skate and rally around, because Skate always did have professional skaters and brands attached to it in terms of, you know, being able to buy boards and upgrade and get sponsorships and stuff like that, but could never have Tony Hawk, obviously, because he was attached to Activision. Even when they weren't putting out games, he was still, you know, licensed to them. So yeah, that would be an easy way to get a lot of attention onto Skate and say, here is the only skateboard game in the business, if you don't count Ollie Ollie, I guess.
Star Wars, the Respawn are working on something.
Yeah.
Plus, there's that repurposed Visceral game. BioWare, hello.
I don't think we see that. My what about is Amy Hennig on this, because Visceral are gone.
She's gone.
She's left. That game is being repurposed into something more service based. They can't. Surely they can't. It would detract from Anthem if it's going to go in that kind of service game direction, potentially. And they kind of want to distance or kind of quieten down the response to Battlefront, and the perfect way to do that to me is get Respawn's Star Wars game out there. Say, hey, you remember how Titanfall 2 was actually really cool campaign and maybe didn't get the window of release it should have had? Well, here's Respawn front and center, getting their big moment, Star Wars, you know, first person shooter.
Also, you've got to say with Titanfall 2, which I bought for Paddy, and I don't think he's played it yet.
I've been busy, I'm sorry.
Is that with that game getting a really slow word of mouth on there, but actually getting out there, and the game now being available for an absolute pittance and people sort of raving about it, I think there are a lot of people that would look at a Respawn Star Wars game, especially if it looks as pretty as it's going to, and would foam at the mouth. And both of those things, I hope, will transpire into Titanfall 3, getting a decent window, getting a lot of people buying it, because Titanfall 2 was fantastic.
Oh, that single player was...
That single... Yeah, it was so inventive, so clever. There was certain stuff I was looking at just going, I don't know how you even designed this. Yeah. Story was great. brilliant ending.
And I'm going to say it.
Looked
great pace
beautiful.
because it was kept tight and short. Tight and short.
Yeah.
Tight and short too.
That was very good.
Boom.
But it's true. It was a game that, whereas it seems like everything sort of has to be open world and everything needs to have 1 billion hours, there was the point where I finished Titanfall 2 where I just thought, I want to put this straight back on again.
It was a rush.
And there's a great thing that in Titanfall 2 that super impressed me where, you have to, especially if it's your first time playing it, you have to get used to the wall running. You can practice an obstacle course with the wall running as the game is installing.
Yeah. Kind of similar to Assassin's Creed puts you in that Animus kind of holding zone and you can muck about but to no real end, except this gave you a chance to actually,
figure it out. And your friends' times were shown on a leaderboard as well, and you could constantly go back to it.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that tutorial area with the obstacle course. What a way to show you by the time you boot it up for a second playthrough how far you've come and how smoothly you can transition from move to move.
Very true.
In a way that something like a Mirror's Edge is the only other thing I've really seen to capture that kind of fluidity of movement.
The thing is, each level in Titanfall 2 was completely different from the last.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that encourages further plays as well, because it's not as if it's a different colour scheme.
Yeah, you never get tired of the aesthetic.
Yeah, it's just a different boss at the end. It's like, no, you're doing different stuff all the time, and it's a joy.
And some of the set piece stuff in there, like story beats and some of the level design stuff that was going on, were just unbelievable.
That factory level.
Yeah, the factory level.
How do you even begin to design that? It was genius.
Yeah, incredible.
It's a good game, Paddy. I think you'll really enjoy it, especially
if you
does the man shoot the gun?
Back flippy jumpy stuff. No, don't worry.
Yeah, I can get that. That's man shoot gun, but with runny jumpy woohoo.
The runny jumpy woohoo is.
I will allow it.
Yeah,
the pineapple on the pizza of life.
I think the difference that I think would appeal to you and why I kind of sent it down was there's a really strong story in there, and it's really engaging. The fact that it does switch things up constantly, it doesn't feel as intimidating as say a Doom did, but it's just a joy. It's one of those things where it feels curated and it feels perfectly crafted. That it isn't too long. It's just a superb experience. I reckon you dig it.
I'd be into it.
But anyway,
what do you think
they're
are
going
the
to show
chances?
Titanfall 3, so
yeah. What do you think are the chances of? I mean, we're going to see another EA original, I imagine. They're trying to do
on my list. Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Probably just the one.
We had Fear that year, and we had A Way Out last year, which has come out to middling reviews, but it came out.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about what we might see? I mean, they're usually quite surprising, aren't they? So
3 years ago, we had the game that kind of kicked off EA Originals, but wasn't one, which was Unravel, which had such a nice response as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe didn't quite live up to that at release, which seems to be typical of EA Originals. But
I think A Way Out sold really well, though, hasn't it?
Sold well,
but in terms of critical response, I
Yeah.
think people were like the hype from it being shown didn't necessarily, to me, just from my perspective, didn't follow through to what I saw the response being at release, which has been
Fuck
true.
the Oscars. Fuck the Oscars.
Yeah.
Which has
For all
been,
that bravado, though, it didn't
has been
exactly
true.
work, did it?
but I do love the fact that EA give a segment, even if it's a EA Originals, the one game we're doing this year. Fine. Let
Here's
EA
Jonathan
show us
Blow's
one
new
game
thing
that,
or something. Like here's something we've bought.
it's
or we're
sorbet
funding,
right in the middle of that conference just to say, no, here's something different.
After that long grey bit of sports. Oh, here's some sorbet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to interject the thing I would love,
Okay.
and this is a bit of a reach,
Tool.
but I think that they're not going to persist with Need for Speed this year, and I think that the remaster of Burnout Paradise was a thing to come, and I even think this will be the name, and I've got no inside information on this whatsoever, and I haven't read anything about it. I think Burnout Rebirth
Yeah.
I wrote Burnout Paradise 2 on my sheet.
So
That's what I would also twill. I've written Burnout Paradise 2, but while I was looking at it, I was thinking Burnout Valhalla.
I think Burnout Rebirth after Burnout, the
it.
remaster of Burnout, the Burnout Paradise remaster.
Oh no, they'd call it Burnout Reignited or something. They'd fuck it, wouldn't they?
No, but that sounds remasterish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I still think that I think they'll, because I don't think Need for Speed last year's Need for Speed Pay to Win, as people said, it was. Did very well at all.
No,
I think
it tanked critically. There was you can go back and listen to my response to it, which was really excited but really nervous about just how constrained and awkward the story and characters would be. And by the time that game came out, I had less interest in that than I did the live action Need for Speed 2 years or year prior, whatever it was.
And that was very strange, wasn't it?
So on my list, my leave it is Need for Speed, because I don't think they've got anything, and my tool is Burnout. Yeah, absolutely. I'm all kinds of
synchronicity
for Burnout.
So we've also got, not my bag particularly, but it's going to be for a lot of people, the now controversial Battlefield 5.
Cool.
Last Battlefield I played was 3, and that was just the campaign that I left it. Bad Company 2 was my jam. That's the Battlefield that was mine.
There's rumours that this is going to be kind of a little
Bad
bit
Company-esque.
more, a little bit more Fortnite maybe, having that kind of not super serious, just being really kind of colourful, and there were a few gags in that reveal trailer that were a few glimpses of chaos, I guess, in there. They've said that there's not going to be Battle Royale mode.
Put that in Burnout. I'd play that one.
What? Oh God!
Racing
against loads of people.
100 cars is Paradise City, and who's the last one left?
Yeah.
Oh, not
I'd play
Paradise
that.
City. Burnout Paradise was bollocks.
Don't even with me.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be an argument you necessarily win, CJ. But I mean, I'm come from the point of view where the Burnout before Paradise that was my jam was Legends on PSP, which was
that was a good one.
I played that.
Kind of 3/Revenge.
It was kind of a mix
came
of
out alongside
the last few,
Revenge,
wasn't it?
but it was on the Burnout 3 engine, I think. So it was kind of weird, but it was kind of a greatest hits of different courses and different styles of racing and different types of Burnout meter, and mashed up soundtrack from previous games as well. And so I know Paradise isn't your thing, and I don't necessarily need a new Burnout to be an open world city type situation, although I love exploring that city and getting to know it and using that knowledge in each and every single event and race. But I'll take a 3 or Revenge equivalent, absolutely.
I'll take what I can get. Yeah, same.
I'd
like you. I spent a long time dicking around in Paradise City. I think once. I got the platinum on it, but it took me a long time because I remember just not even trying to do anything. When you start the game and fucking Paradise City kicks off from Guns N' Roses, it's like, right, well, I'm going to drive very, very fast for 6 minutes and see how far I can get and see just how crazy I can do. I'm usually really good at that, and then I'm going to start playing the actual game. But I think that was very special. That was part of the game for me. That was like, right, go, fucking gun it, really enjoy this, and then Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend comes on and it all goes wrong.
but yeah, I absolutely take the point that there are fans of older Burnouts for whom Paradise didn't do the business, and so I hope that in some way, shape, or form, with whatever is left of Criterion and whoever else EA can get their hands on, some kind of Burnout can be put together which brings that series back with a bang, because even Criterion's Need for Speeds didn't do for me exactly what I got from Burnout. As good as Hot Pursuit was, I thoroughly enjoyed that, but it didn't give me the same feeling of racing that Burnout gave me.
Same. Didn't feel right. I tried it as well, and just didn't feel. It wasn't there. The magic was gone.
Yeah.
So
I'd be all kinds of over EA burnout announcement. That would be insanity. Yeah.
So we'll bounce on to Ubisoft.
Sorry, I need to change a page. Hang on, you can hear my notes turning.
Ibixison.
Oh, I don't even want to think what.
God, the acronym's getting weird this year.
It'll be there somehow.
Yeah, we'll get
So,
there.
bit of a surprise the other week, but there were rumours that a new Assassin's Creed was coming, which I didn't really expect, but I suppose they've had an extra year in the same way as Origins did. I've even forgotten the name of it,
Odyssey.
so I've just written down here.
It's Assassin's Creed where you throw hats at things.
I've just written it down as Assassin's Creed kick you off a mountain wearing sandals.
Odyssey, which immediately says Greek epic to me.
The keychain was like a Greek helmet, wasn't it?
Yeah, Spartan,
which means
Spartan style helmet.
They're not being subtle at all.
Definitely not.
Did you pick up? I know Paddy didn't. Did you pick up Origins?
I did, and I liked a lot of what they'd done to kind of refresh the series. So before that, Revelations was the last one I played, and I just felt burned out by it. I should say the last one I played, I put an hour into 3 and then an hour into Black Flag, and I just couldn't with either of them. I just had my fill. So didn't touch Unity or Syndicate because I just burned out on the series, and I thought Origins looks like it's overhauled the combat. It looks like they've changed stuff about the world, and there was a lot. I feel like I'm on a broken record here. A lot I liked about it, but a lot of stuff that I didn't, and I got to the end of Origins kind of feeling like I was thoroughly thrilled that I played it, and it was a beautiful game. But I don't necessarily feel like I need any more Assassin's Creed again.
Yeah, I mean that's what I got. I mean, when I tapped out of Black Flag, I finished Black Flag. I loved it to pieces, but by the time I was done, I thought, right, I've done this 5-6 times now. I don't need to do it again. And also, while we're here, not to sort of throw your point away or anything, but as a Cane and Rinse person, I was under the understanding that if a game, because your TV tropes page says this, if a game ends in Origins, you call it Oranges.
Yes, that's true. That started with Rayman.
Yeah. And I was kind of upset when you said Origins and not Oranges. I was hoping you'd say it.
I sincerely apologise. I know we like to adopt a more serious tone here, so I didn't think Oranges was appropriate.
TV tropes, you bastard! You build me up and you tear me down every time.
I was really excited for Origins last year, but and bought the gold edition.
Yeah.
And played it twice and didn't put it back on. But I am the person of the entire series who enjoyed the very first Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed Unity was his game of the year. So I am obviously not to be trusted.
Captain Contrary is here again.
Original was absolutely so. Brotherhood's the other one that I enjoyed, but Assassin's Creed to Original was I loved that game. So much so that when I got to the end of it and had missed out a conversation that I needed for an achievement, I went back through and did it all again, including collecting all of the flags.
No,
I
James.
I've said it before, and I probably said it last year, but I'm not a religious man. But there was just something of kind of going up the sort of craggy mountainside and then just seeing like Jerusalem.
Oh yeah, and turn the corner and seeing Damascus in front of you was just incredible.
I found people were telling me not to play that and to go straight to the second one, and I wanted to go into the legacy and see what had been fixed and what was better and stuff, and just bailed on the second one really quickly because I didn't enjoy the city as much as I'd enjoyed those in the first one. But it's a strange, and the way that I clicked with Unity, which is available for 99 pence currently. The way I clicked with Unity was the same fascination that I had with the originals Assassin's Creed. That I saw a city that just fascinated me, and I'd never been to Revolution Paris in a game before, and just the way that it's still one of the most beautiful looking games that I've seen on this generation. It's pretty as anything. James.
Hello.
Splinter Cell.
So this is not my tool, simply because I'm like, I'm going to say it, I'm 100% sure there's a new Splinter Cell. You do not get Michael Ironside into a studio to record like 10 lines of dialogue for Wildlands.
That was really classy, especially the Metal Gear Solid wing.
Yeah, that was a really cool mission. I bought Wildlands and played through the entire campaign simply because I wanted to see a Splinter Cell mission and a Sam Fisher cameo
that's really cool.
in Wildlands. So Ubisoft cross-promotion apparently works. I'm all in for Splinter Cell. That is back in that intervening period, early 2000s, where I wasn't really playing much of anything. Hitman, Splinter Cell, Max Payne were the games I was playing. So to be riding high with a Hitman that's great. I liked Blacklist. I thought Blacklist was a great Splinter Cell game, Ironside not being in it aside.
But it's come out recently that he wasn't well enough to be in it.
Well. And also there was some comment he made that suggested that it's because of how Conviction went and what they did in Conviction that meant he wasn't, obviously despite illness, he wasn't up for doing Blacklist. Because I made some comment and someone pointed out that Michael Ironside wasn't in Blacklist and therefore it must be because it's a lesser game, and I actually had done a lot of reading on the subject because it didn't necessarily irk me that he wasn't around for Blacklist because if he wasn't healthy enough and if he wasn't in a situation to be able to do it, then better to step away and take the character in a new direction was my opinion. That said, to have him back and feeling energized and making positive comments about coming back to it, and information that's come out about how involved he was with the direction the character went right back in the beginning, is really cool. And
because the original creator of Splinter Cell is back at Ubisoft as well, isn't he? That's something that I read recently.
I'm not sure because for me the big guy that I associate with Splinter Cell is Clint Hawking, who
that's the
so he was on the original Splinter Cell team but directed Chaos Theory and Far Cry 2, by the way. And then he's kind of left and he was at Amazon for a bit, I think, Amazon Games, when they were kind of grabbing people up into their talent pool, and he's floated around a bit. I hadn't heard he was back at Ubisoft, but if he is, I'll take his name being attached to Splinter Cell as well, by the way.
Yeah, it was something that I heard recently. Also, there was a great idea that was put forward on the kind of funny video that I saw where they said, like, wouldn't it be cool if they did a Batman Beyond with it, and Michael Ironside did his old Sam Fisher sort of trying to train the new boy for the job. I was like, that sounds kind of cool, the passing of the torch and all that sort of stuff. And he was, Sam was old in that Wildlands as well.
Well, I mean, by rights, I mean, from fairly early on in the series, people were talking about how old and past it Sam Fisher should be, and in Wildlands they leant right into that. This was a guy who was old and over the hill, but he still didn't get on the wrong side of, because he's still Sam Fisher, he's still a legend, was very much kind of the vibe they went for with that. And
Paddy, you were saying that there was a kind of friendly rivalry between Splinter Cell and Metal Gear that I didn't realise was there until you said it.
A little bit, yeah. There's a couple of voice lines in, I think it was Snake Eater, where Snake's like, oh, this job's got to be done. Like, can't you send Sam or Gabe? Siphon Thought or Splinter Cell. Like, I can't remember where it was from now, but it was from like a promotional thing for one of the games. But it was just like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, there was absolutely a kind of acknowledgement that Splinter Cell was following in the footsteps of a Metal Gear Solid in the style of stealth it tried to do, tech heavy. Just the way that you do sneaking, because obviously Hitman's a stealth game, but it's a very different type of stealth game. and the same for a Thief or something like that. You know, they all feel very different, but Splinter Cell kind of does have that tactical action, if you like, in terms of similar ways of handling things and having, you know, tranquilizer rounds and airfoil rounds and stuff like that. You know, having all the different gadgets around that you can use.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And yeah, I just really hope. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Conviction. I didn't like the linearity of it, and I didn't like. I get why they wanted to kind of get more people on board and have the different play styles and really kind of put an option forward for it being action oriented, but I felt the way they did it lessened the ability I had to really go for a stealth playthrough and explore and be a bit more planned with how I was approaching everything. It felt like you were kind of marching room to room and not given much scope to express how you wanted to play the game outside of the 3 buckets they created of playstyles. But yeah, I'd be all in for them going even like full Metal Gear Solid 5 style open world. If they want to do an Ubisoft open world for Splinter Cell and it's as adaptable as Metal Gear Solid's open world was for stealth, yeah, I'd be all over that kind of thing as well. Just all kinds of in for that. But the only reason it stops it being my tool, because I would love to see it, is I just think it's an almost certainty that it's going to be there, to be honest.
Do you think it will have a first glimpse at the Microsoft press conference? Given the previous
wouldn't surprise me. That's a game that kind of lived on Xbox, partly because Metal Gear Solid was so heavily Sony associated.
The next one, I kind of I had to look up the proper name because the name that was coined in the press is actually more catchy than the proper name. So it was coined as No Man's Skylanders, but the actual name is Starlink Battle for Atlas. So with do you remember the kind of toys that clipping on controllers and stuff? It looked really great, but with the death of Toys to Life, will this perhaps be retooled a bit?
I think you're right. Given that I think 2 of the big ones have gone. Disney Infinity died, and I think Skylanders
as well gone.
All but gone now. I think Lego's the only one going, and that's on nostalgia value alone, right?
No, Lego's done.
Yeah, Lego's done as well. Yeah,
was Lego done? Okay. Well, they're all done then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see this.
Are kind of the only place. I guess Labo kind of counts. That would be a similar sort of thing. But yeah, this.
Is this pitching towards a different sort
I think it is. I don't think this was aimed at kids'
though.
collectibles at all. And I saw some people excited because even this time last year there was kind of a note of, oh really, you're doing Toys to Life, when every other version of that is now gone or going. And yeah, I saw quite a lot of positivity towards it because I think a lot of people thought the game looked great, and having some like quite nice looking model spacecraft.
Yeah, I thought it looked really good, and it did look kind of cool when it was sat on top of that DualShock 4. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, I think Ubisoft have got a couple of games where it's kind of a big question mark over. We haven't seen them for a full year necessarily, and there's question marks over whether those games can still exist in the way that they were shown when they were shown, and Starlink definitely looks like one of those to me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Interested to see where they go with it.
I'm not sure about it either. Like I mean, I think we talked about this at the time, but like for me, that game looked like, why does it need the ship? Why does it need the toy?
For sure, yeah.
Like, if that's sitting on top of my controller while I'm playing, that's going to throw off the weight of the controller, and you don't look at it. Why does it need to... Why? I don't get it. Other than, here's a way to charge more money for this game because you've got to buy a toy now. I never liked the Skylanders model. I know lots of people do. I know, CJ, you do, but I never liked that model. Like, just let me buy the fucking game. Like, don't hide the game behind toy DLC. But that's just me. Let's not get into that again, because we'll be here for hours.
That wasn't the case with Skylanders. Like each one of those things had different abilities and a different feel, and they were you could still complete the game with the 3 Skylanders that were in the box, but there were separate levels which weren't massive levels, but were like little puzzles or sort of strange oddities, which could be accessed by certain Skylanders that have got certain powers and abilities.
So what you're saying is plastic lock DLC?
Yeah, but it wasn't like whole levels. It was just sort of odd little bits. And
I just don't like the model. I don't like the model of not being able to get to everything without something else. Just don't like it. Not for me.
Yeah, but a lot of the time, if you're looking at like a Spyro, you're going through a game with one character. You can go through that game with the 3 characters in the box, but there are little rooms and odd little sort of 3-minute oddities that aren't necessarily there for the game that you can factor into if you want to play with a character with a completely different play style, completely different abilities, and all that is the character. So essentially, up to you if you just want to get one of each ability, or you just want to go through the game with the 3 characters in the box, or you just want to completely tank it and do everything. But the point that I played, which one was it? Swap Force, was after listening to it on Cane and Rinse, and at that point it was 2 years old. I picked up those toys for like £3 to £5 each, and that game is absolutely superb. People, like the amount of people who are Nintendo fans that I know that are old school Spyro and Crash fans that would not go near that game purely because it was a kids game. And that game is brilliantly written. It's superb to play, and I loved every second of that and didn't regret a single purchase. So there you go. And from that, I will say Avatar. Apparently.
I will respond to the notion of an Avatar sequel game the same way I respond to the notion of an Avatar sequel film.
Says everybody who's ever lived throughout time.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, why? Who's that for?
You know, James Cameron.
James Cameron
complaining about how all films are superhero films and everything's a franchise now, and yet he wants to turn a film that was already a repurposing of several other films and traditional stories, and you know, had been told a million times, and now wants to make 4 sequels to it.
Well, it's because he can make more money.
Apparently.
Is the thing. Oh, what, CJ?
I don't know. And a theme park, apparently.
Oh, fuck you.
No, there's an Avatar theme park.
Fuck you.
They've already gone round it going like, oh, this is where the such and such is going to be, and everybody's like, oh, and there's just nothing there but rocks. There's a theme park, an Avatar theme park, I kid you not.
Right, here's the test then, because I genuinely don't know the answer to this. Here's the test. Right, what are the blue people called? What's the race of the blue people?
Smurfs.
I feel like I know this, but I don't.
Big Smurfs.
Right? That, if I can't name, like everyone
Navi?
knows what a Wookiee is.
There we go, Navi.
Yeah, well played.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's for you then. There you go. Turns
Paddy
out
for
it's
you.
for James. James is going to go.
Paddy for you and for James. Beyond Good and Evil 2.
This is on my leave it list.
Well,
I know it exists.
It's quite early. No, hang on. I kind of am with you a bit, but I also do genuinely. I'm desperate to have it.
Oh yeah,
but I think I agree with you. But I've not been watching any of the Space Monkey Club thing.
Nope, me neither.
I think the name made me angry. Fuck you, lol random. But I know they've been showing some stuff off, but I kind of just want to see it when it's there in my hand.
If they don't have gameplay to show and a date to give me, stop. Take a chill pill. Ubisoft have got loads of games to show. They know people are excited for Beyond Good and Evil. Give the team the time they need to develop it, and they've got fans already in their Space Monkey typewriter club. Let them be interested and find out what they want to find out. I don't need to Death Stranding this game and see a different CG trailer every single year until I'm 80 and still waiting for the game. Just
I enjoyed that video last year. I thought it was good.
Me too.
I've got no resonance with the original game whatsoever, but I saw Tamor Hussain saying the actual footage that was shown to the press after was barely even a shell of a game.
It was just a tech demo, wasn't it? Yeah, I've seen snips and bits of it here and there. It's just, flying around near a ship. Great.
And if that means that last year's trailer was literally just Ubisoft being held to account over actually making this a game now, great. But that doesn't mean it needs to be rolled out every single year until it's ready. If it's not going to be ready until the end of next year or 2020, whenever it might be, let's not try and string this out. Let's let the team get on.
If it's out in August, then show us.
Oh yeah,
but
sure, but it's not. There's no way it's not.
I would, as CJ has so recently coined, turn into energy and do a lap of the sun.
Lap of the universe.
Lap of the universe.
I'm going to go into a thing I would love, and that is the Division 2, the Championship, lol. That's a football joke.
Technically not been announced yet, although it's been leaked that it is coming, I guess. So, yeah.
It's real,
they've definitely said it'll be at E3. There was kind of funny, you had a swipe at this one being set in London, which is something that I've heard a few times, and in particular would light my friend Noor on fire.
So
I thought,
weirdly, is Watch Dogs 3 a better fit for London, given the amount of CCTV cameras, London famously being the most watched city in the world?
I think I'll leave Watch Dogs.
However,
I don't
the
last one did that well.
What with Brexit, London is divided.
But Division absolutely as well. London seems like a great place to set that. World renowned in terms of landmarks, in terms of being a city. People would not necessarily know exactly what every street looks like, but they know what it feels like. They know what they expect to see there. It makes perfect sense.
I bought the original twice. I bought it on Xbox and I played through it. I played the solo game on Xbox, and then I played through it with my friend Noor on PS4. I had crazy amounts of fun with that game. Love the shooting, love the city. Although I think in this one they have to make it feel a little more alive rather than everyone has died out. But the big sort of missions and boss battles and stuff I thought were fantastic. It was great going into sort of big factories and sort of building sites and climbing up towers and just the actual resonance of people dying and a lot of stuff that seemed to come to light in the news the last couple of years really factored into that for me, with people at certain points just want one group wanting to burn the poor because they thought that this was a blight that arrived from them and was a problem with them, and
just the notion of fear triggering a response in people to want to blame another group in society, whoever they may be, for their problems. Absolutely.
But there was also an undercurrent that maybe it was something to do with the government that started this in the first place as a way of population control. I love the original, and Ubisoft deserves great credit Ubisoft and Massive for constantly supporting it, tweaking it, and at the point where the sequel is almost ready to be shown off, the game is in a really good place. A really good place. Plus they had that great DLC which made me wonder if it was the original premise for the game, whereby you could only survive outside for a certain amount of time before you had to sort of stand by a fire. There were people picking one another off in kind of the snowstorms, and you got enemies on the streets as well. And I'll be curious to see how all of that factors into the sequel. But the fan base is in a really good place with it.
I guess so. The tricky thing is, it sounds like to me that the Division's in a better place although perhaps a more low-key place than Destiny was when it got to just
100%.
kind of before its sequel came out. It felt like with Destiny, Bungie knew exactly what they'd had to add to that game to get it to be the kind of rounded product a lot of people felt it was by its end. And they didn't manage to transfer that stuff to Destiny 2 from my perspective. I felt like all the stuff that I felt was problematic at Destiny's launch was still there in Destiny 2 to many extents. Can Ubisoft do a better job? Can they take where Division is now as the starting point and build from that rather than taking a step back to then move forward again? I'd love to see them do that, but I do worry with a game like this whether they'll be able to kind of learn all, because Division, I didn't play it at launch, sounded like it was a problematic game when it first came out, and they have to make sure that doesn't happen again, I think.
I think from one of the things that I've heard that they Massive had a real problem with the engine that they got, and they had huge issues sort of managing to change things and certain other things that would then break, and started building a new engine sort of shortly after.
Concurrently, while the
there's
game
a lot
was
of
out,
there's a lot of ambition to make a game like this, but I suppose it's only when you release it that you kind of find out how good that engine is or isn't. So I just think those who loved it ended up being very appreciative of the effort that was put into to turn it back around. And we got an Xbox One X patch earlier this year as well, which is super nice.
And
drink.
That's a heck of a place to be in, knowing that if they can start from where Division is now with a sequel and build from that, and Ubisoft, as we kind of tangentially mentioned with Wildlands, done a great job, and Rainbow Six Siege, another example, a great job of supporting games as services, or just games in general, in the long run after release, and making. But
you can also sort of factor into that like For Honor as well, because it's not a game that I play, but I watch a lot of it on Twitch with True Talent streams, and that's a game that was really imbalanced and had like glitches that people were taking advantage of, and the fan base sort of split quite heavily, and things became sort of quite caustic, but they kept working on it. And as I understand it now, the recent round of retoolings and like new characters and stuff, it's in a really good place. So if they do show us For Honor 2 perhaps, again the fan base is quite happy with what they've done. They've introduced a lot of things like chip damage and like regular fighting game stuff into it, and it seems that they've finally found that balance between the characters and what it should be doing and what shouldn't be doing. So that's
So what we're saying is, games they show, look forward to them being a good a year after they release.
Well, but there's a big compliment to be had there, which is, I mean, just look at Halo Master Chief Collection. That took, and arguably still hasn't got to the point where it's sorted. I mean, it has by this point, more or less, but it took a long time, whereas Ubisoft, to their credit, they're not willing to let a game die on the vine. They are willing to put in the time and effort to completely rework a game. And yeah, it'd be nice if they got it right first time, and Division 2 will be a great test of that. The Crew 2 will be a great test of that as well. What can they take from a flawed original and move it into with a sequel? And I mean, for a lot of people, Assassin's Creed 2 was that. It wasn't for me, and nor for you, CJ. But
yeah, good call.
They do seem to respond to criticism, even though yes, they're still doing the Ubisoft open world. But even with Assassin's Creed Origins, they made changes to that some of them weren't to my taste, but there's undeniably they're willing to learn and kind of grow and not give up on a game and just let it go. They will stick with it, and they will try and let it flourish and work on it, and that's admirable, I think.
Have you been monitoring the Crew 2 then?
Only in as much as the Crew never excited me at all, but taking that game and its kind of weirdness and managing to make a sequel that looks equally weird but in completely different way, with kind of the world folding in on itself as you transform vehicle. That the crew never looked like anything like that, and yet here I am with a sequel that, I mean, in the absence of a Burnout, something like an Onrush kind of looks, it might tickle that, but the Crew 2 gives at least the impression, I've not watched that much of it aside from kind of reveal trailer and gameplay stuff. About a year ago it would have been I saw anything of it, and it just looked like they found the fun and they found a way to make that something other than a standard racer.
I think the Crew for me, it's I don't know, like it's followed the path that, do you know what, I think it's a lot of Ubisoft games do this, where I'm really excited when they show off and then it gets near release, I'm like, I'm kind of 50-50, and then I'll play a demo like, can't be bothered.
This traditionally, which game is shown at the Ubisoft conference
will I be up for?
Paddy says he can't wait for, and then never bothers.
Well, and some of that is like Watch Dogs was shown 3 3s before it was released.
This is where it started, wasn't it? It's one of the first big ones to do this.
2 or 3 3s before it was released.
Oh God,
they've done this. They've got track record of taking a really well received positive announcement. Ubisoft can announce the heck of it out of a game. Let's be fair, and just
they just need to do it nearer to when it comes out,
because by the time you actually see more of it, you realise that what you hoped for from the initial reveal just isn't where they're going with the game. And you know, let's hope that when they get, you know, Watch Dogs 2 in many respects did seem to tackle a lot of the complaints of the original. It didn't set the world on fire, but it did at least respond to the complaints people had about the first one. Let's hope they can do that with the Crew 2, Division 2, you know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. Let's hope. Releasing another one. Presumably they're announcing this and releasing it later on in the year. Releasing it when? Because November, I mean, even Call of Duty has moved forward to avoid Red Dead Redemption 2.
I think it's a tricky one. I think they'll still release in November, because that's traditionally...
I wouldn't want to be an open world game releasing anywhere near Red Dead Redemption 2, to be honest. Even if you're set in ancient Greece, I would not want to be there.
Maybe they'll bank on the goodwill they've got from Oranges.
Hey, Assassin's Creed sells. Let's be honest. But
yeah, it always sells. Regardless what comes out, it always sells.
Red Dead just seems like, you know,
it's going to chomp on it, isn't it?
If even Call of Duty is moving out of its November slot, to me that looks like they're moving from Red Dead. No one wants to be near a Rockstar game.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're going to see a little bit more of pirate boat game Skull and Bones.
This is my what's happening with this game.
Which is now 2019, isn't it?
Oh, then leave it then.
Well, it's fiscal 2019-2020, so...
massively leave it. It's a cool idea. Like, you know, it's the ship combat of Assassin's Creed turned into a game. Cool, but...
Not based on what they showed last year, surely.
Yeah, it was just very average.
That looked a hollow experience to me. A multiplayer ship combat where you play as the ship, not an actual character, which fine if you want to personify a ship, but you best be able to customize that ship and make it yours in the same way you would dress yourself as a captain. But that it seemed like a game that wasn't what anyone expected. When Black Flag being spun out into a purely ship combat game, that didn't seem like what they suggested it was.
Because that for me is like, I mean, I loved the ship combat in the Assassin's Creed ones, you know, like when they did a little bit of it in 3 and I was like, oh, I hope they do more of this, and then they announced Black Flag, like, oh, they've done more of this, like, brilliant, like, great. I loved that game to pieces, and the ship stuff was brilliant, and then sort of this reveals, and it made the ship stuff look like really boring. Like, it didn't look wacky, it didn't look fun, you didn't feel like, I don't think that you didn't look like you felt powerful. Like, it was just like you're rolling around, and like, I mean, maybe this part of my natural aversion to kind of that sort of multiplayer game. It's like you turn up and then someone who's way better than you turns up, and then you lose, and then you feel upset and you turn off the game.
And even if you win, you then have to get chased out of the area by naval battleships. It looked weird.
Pick up some loot, connect a mobile device, like fucking just make the game wacky, like make it more goof.
So
let me put a giant inflatable parrot on the top, like let's be silly.
If they are retooling this game as heavily as suggested, which watching last year, that was pretty much my response was they need to work out what this game is, because it doesn't look like anything that I saw no hype in response to what they showed last year. Don't even mention it this year. They've got other games to spend time on. If it's not coming out till 2019, show it next year when you've got a fully fleshed. I know I'm a broken record saying just leave it, but
no, it's a valid category. I like that category.
Pat, we're now at 2 hours 15.
Yeah.
Did you want to call this a part
one
and re-record a part 2, because we've still got Nintendo, Xbox, and Sony to come?
No, and we're not cutting this. Do you know why? Because E3 starts on Saturday and it's Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
let's just keep going.
Right,
Fuck it. Let's keep going. I might get a drink.
I
might get a drink, but we'll keep going. Before we do, I'm not cutting this bit. This is fun. Let people behind the curtain. I have a thing I would love. A tool from Ubisoft. A tool, right? Here's what I want. Give me a new proper, right, Prince of Persia. Give me a Prince of Persia. Runny, jumpy, climby, wahoo! With the time rewinding dagger. Remaster the original, like make a reimagined version of it or something. I don't care. Give me my Prince back.
So, absolutely with you. It's not my tool, but absolutely with you, except I'm one of those strange people who wants a sequel to Prince of Persia 2008.
That was good too. I have my issues with that game.
It's
but
not
I did
the
like
trilogy,
it.
But and that was peak Nolan North era. That was this Prince is Nathan Drake in a headdress. But
crap.
I liked a lot of what they did in that game, and I know it took stick for you can't die, not even a video game, blah blah blah. It looked gorgeous, and it did some stuff with story that I thought was really cool.
That ending. Oh.
Yeah, that ending absolutely destroyed me. I was
my only issue with that
game. I don't get angry at games for doing good things very often. I was.
It was good angry though. I was happy absolutely. That I was upset with it. Like for me, like my issues with that game. I loved the aesthetics. I loved the playing of it. It was fun. I just didn't like that every single obstacle course you could go forwards and backwards on it, and they all just felt like it didn't feel like there was a real progression. Like you've got the blue, the red, the yellow, and the green. Pick one, you'll unlock something for that in the next bit, and that'll unlock the next bit, and whichever one you pick, it's like a sort of just circles chasing circles. And you'll always kind of progress samely, sort of roughly the same way. You'll do one, then the next, and the next, and then you'll sweep around the other ones, and it's the same paths each time you're doing.
Yeah.
It kind of took a little bit of the magic out of, for example, from Sands of Time, where every single room, every encounter, every sort of runny, jumpy, climby puzzle you had to do was its own thing.
Yes, it felt a little too constrained. I would be the way I would say it. It felt like it needed properly kind of fleshing out.
It needed more curation, maybe, or there were some ways you can only go this way, or even just if they had you can only go this way to start with, I think that would have alleviated some of it, but it's just the fact you could go back and forwards as easily, well, to me anyway, as easily as if it was just an open, flat world. Like the falling off the ledges stuff that you couldn't die didn't bother me. That's fine. That's just that's just infinite retries, isn't it? Yeah, it's infinite retries, but made into a mechanic. My favourite kind of runny, jumpy stuff. For example, Rayman. Recent Rayman games, instant retry when you die. Boom, back, go, try again. Brilliant. Don't make me wait for it. Don't make me wait through a loading screen to go back to a fucking checkpoint and try again. Let's just put me back on the nearest platform. Let's have another go.
No, I could absolutely go for something Prince of Persia, even if it's just a tease to say, hey, guess what, we're bringing this back. Yeah, I'd be all about that. Funny you should mention
Dagger of Time.
Funny you should mention Rayman, because my tool.
Oh.
I want a Rayman. Rayman oranges and Rayman lemons. More oranges than lemons, let's be honest. But those were fantastic platformers to me. They were a couple of my favourite platformers I've ever played. And they kicked off the UbiArt framework, which we've seen Child of Light, Valiant Hearts, the two Rayman games.
Allegedly,
I love that
there was
engine.
Allegedly, there was a Prince of Persia up and running in that engine like a number of years ago, and they didn't release it.
God, that engine! I love it.
Want to see more UbiArt, and the way to bring that back is Rayman. We had Mario Cross Rabbids last year. Rabbids, obviously, very popular, but I think there's space for a Rayman as well. If you want to throw Rabbids in that, fine, sure, but give me a 2D Rayman platformer with that gorgeous UbiArt framework, and it's just so much fun, so much character. It was on was it Games with Gold recently? One of them, I think, and I think
Plus had it a few months ago. I downloaded it because it was a Plus game a while ago.
Straight back again. The songs, the sounds, the colour. It's just.
And also, right, they need to do what Legends did really well, which was acknowledge the previous games, where you kind of unlocked slightly remixed versions of old stages. The treasure chase levels, I literally stood up from the sofa and cheered when I saw that I'd unlocked a treasure chase level, because I got to hear that amazing banjo music.
Yeah.
You're chasing a treasure who's like, oh fuck, here comes Rayman, time to run away now. And that poor little treasure with his little eye like, oh shit. I would play those. I would play an entire game of that kind of level. All the music levels. Oh my god, the music levels. Yeah. Rayman Legends, it's a bit too. There's a bit too much of it. Like I think there's too many levels in that game. But God, every single one of them plays good.
Yeah.
Oh, just make it work. If you're going to make it multi-platform this time, all right. So I played the Vita version of that game first and bounced off it because I had to do the Murphy stuff. You have an automatically controlled character and you just tap Murphy to do the stuff in the level. That was bollocks. I hated that. I wanted to control a character and press a button, which is what the console versions that you do way better. I
initially started playing on the 360 and then switched over onto the Vita and got the Platinum one there. Actually, that was the one that I actually fully completed,
Just those Murphy levels drove me crazy.
Yeah.
You'd miss something like, well, I've got to start again. Rather than just running back with your legs. Like it's like you'd see the cage and it was just like, no, I missed it. No, please. Oh, I don't want to do this again.
Was, those games. Orange is slightly preferable to lemons for me, just because the oranges stuff that was in lemons, I didn't quite. It was all in like the gallery where you picked it from, and I quite liked the world map and the way that it was presented in. Orange is slightly better.
I can see that.
So inventive.
So the next one's what? Limes?
I'll go for limes. Rayman Times.
Ooh.
I don't know what.
That's Rayman going through time travel. That actually works.
I think the time is ripe. We need something cartoony and fun amongst the Splinter Cells and Division 2s. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but Ubisoft always bring the wacky, and I think Rayman with someone probably dressed as Rayman or a rabbit on the stage as it's announced,
or just a giant fist just flies across the stage and an armless man runs along.
They do like their costumes on stage at Ubisoft. So.
And that's where we left part 1. Thank you very much for listening. Join us for part 2 on this 3-part adventure as we preview the excitement of E3. See you in a bit. Bye.